who shocked the world in 1999 with the UConn Huskies. Welcome back to another episode of 68 Shining Moments. I'm pleased to be joined today by Khalid El-Amin, the star of the 1999 UConn national champions who shocked the world. Of course, Khalid, thanks for being here, man.
Oh, yeah, Rob, thanks for having me. Let's get busy. Let's talk some hoops, baby.
So since you've been there and since you left, UConn has kind of become a national brand, and you helped pave the way for that. They're one of the most storied programs of the last decade. But I want to rewind before you actually got there. When you were recruited and when you committed to them, they weren't quite at the level that they are right now. They had won a couple Big East titles, but Calhoun had kind of developed a rep for being like the best coach that had never been able to win the big one or whatever it was at the time. So how did you end up making the decision to move from Minnesota to Connecticut? How did you decide that was the right move for you?
Well, it all happened on my visit. UConn had been recruiting me throughout the high school, but early in high school, I had made the commitment to the University of Minnesota. So I wasn't being recruited by any school, and had the opportunity after the ABCD camp. Was one of the top 10 players at ABCD camp, and I got an opportunity to play with the Long Island Panthers and Lamar Odom's AAU team. And so I was on the circuit with the Panthers, and of course, Lamar Odom was one of the best players in the class of 1997, was being recruited by everyone. And so had the opportunity to, see how he was being recruited, and got kind of jealous, him having all the attention. And, after a while, I started to think to myself to see if Minnesota was the best place for myself. So, after a few tournaments on the circuit, I decided I was going to, give up or declass myself, or the word is slipping myself, but I was going to decommit from the University of Minnesota. And so that's what I did. And I went out to the University of Connecticut on a visit and had an opportunity to play with the team. And Rob, it was just like a match made in heaven. We just gelled so well with each other, and I was allowed to be myself and, have my characteristics of being a leader and telling players what to do. And it's kind of a legend at UConn right now is when I came to play pickup with the team, and how I was just out there telling all the upperclassmen what to do as a senior in high school. And so that was a big deal for me. And us meshing like that, during the pickup games was really big for me. And I think that's what really put me over the top to say, I think Connecticut is going to be the school that I want to attend.
I've actually heard that story, that a lot of people just kind of like, who the hell is this kid from Minnesota? Yelling at everybody right now.
Yeah.
I got to ask you this too. So you're from the Midwest. Jim Calhoun is recruiting you. For people that have not heard Jim Calhoun speak, he has a very distinct accent, shall we say. So I want to know how long it took you to fully be able to understand the language that Jim Calhoun speaks.
I'm not going to put an actual number on it, Rob, because if I put a number on it, it might not be correct. But, I'm still trying to decipher some of the things that Coach has said to this day. But, I can definitely understand when he's angry, and his sense of urgency. His sense of urgency was, I think the major thing that has stuck with me throughout my professional career. And now that I'm done with basketball, just that sense of urgency and not being relaxed and always, up for the challenge is something that, I take away from him. And I thank him dearly for that, because that has helped me in my lifetime.
So the first year that you get to UConn, you guys are really good. You won the Big East tournament. I believe you won the Big East regular season title as well. You're top 10 nationally. I think you made it to the Elite Eight, where you lost to that UNC team that had like Anton Jameson and Vince Carter and Shamon Williams, and just loaded. But you guys returned everyone for the 98-99 season. So heading into that year, like what's your mindset? Are you thinking like, hey, this is our year. We're going to go win it all. Like, look how good we are. This is our team.
We were coming off, like you said, the Final Eight, the Grade 8, and losing to North Carolina basically on their home court. So that gave us a lot of motivation and a lot of confidence to come to the next season. Like you said, we returned everyone. Everyone knew their role. Everybody was excited to come back and make that next push to try to get past the Final Eight. And that was the job at hand. And we prepared like that off season. And during that season, we were number one for, I think, 16 weeks, I believe. So it was definitely a year that we had our eyes set on, and, we just we did a lot of sacrificing for that year because we knew that year could have been special, and it definitely was.
Yeah, I looked it up. I think it was from December 6th until February 16th. You guys were ranked number one in the country, which is actually a little bit of a talking point for when you get into that tournament, because everyone said Duke is the best team in college basketball, and you had spent so much time with that hype. But before we get into the actual Duke game itself, I just got to ask you, everyone thinks about, at least, so I grew up in Connecticut, right? And I was very aware at the time that there was kind of this narrative around the UConn program that, they were good, but they couldn't actually get it done, and they couldn't win the big one. And it's always like that, right? Like any coach that comes up, they're the best that can't get it done until they actually get it done, right?
Until they actually do it.
So you're heading into the Elite Eight game. You're playing 10 seed Gonzaga, and Gonzaga back then is not what Gonzaga is right now. This was very much their introduction to the country, and you guys are down at halftime. So I've always been curious. Like, what is that halftime locker room like? Are you guys nervous? Is it getting a little, are you getting a little worried about it? Or are you guys just kind of like, well, yeah, they came ready to play. We just got to go get it done in the second half?
Yeah, I don't think that we were, I can call it nervous at halftime. I think, if we were down, like you say, we were down, then it was one of the more fiery speeches that Coach Calhoun gave us. And, and I think a part of that was on me. During that game, I didn't have one of my best offensive games. And so I think that, during that first half, the team missed my production. And so, I could take the blame for that one. But, as a team, we really still competed on the defensive end. And throughout the whole 40 minutes of the game, we were able to win the defensive battle because, our team was just mentally minded like that, just always focusing on the little things. Coach reminded us, Coach Hobbs would always remind us about the little stuff, and us just really locking in on defense. No matter if you were having a great offensive game personally, you had to be there for the team defensively. And I think that I was still playing defense the way that Coach would have liked, even though I wasn't having one of my better offensive games.
Yeah, so you guys end up getting it done. You get to the Final Four. You take care of, I believe it was Ohio State in the Final Four. Yeah. That was like the Scooney Penn, Michael Redd team, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So they were good too. Like you took down some big teams on the way to the title game. So we get to the final, and the narrative of this game kind of becomes like you got this juggernaut Duke against these little underdogs, UConn, and I still don't understand quite how it got to that point, because, like I said, you guys had spent more time at number one during the season than Duke did. Never ranked outside of the top 5, but somehow it was like you got Coach K and Duke and the best team ever against some school from a state that everyone knows from like pizza and be in New York City suburbs. So like, how aware were you guys of that? And I'm sure that you were, but like, how much did that play into your motivation?
We were definitely aware of it. And I mean, Rob, come on, we have to understand Duke's situation at the time. They had a roster that was, second to none in the country. You had Elton Brand, you had Chris Burgess, you had Shane Battier, Corey McGaddy, you had all the top players going to that school. So rightfully so, everyone should have looked at them as the favorite, but we felt us being, like you said, number one for longer than they were number one during the season, and then coming into the game, we were going to be a 10-point underdog. We felt like that was just a little bit too much, and we took it as a kind of disrespectful. And so, always trying to find motivation. Coach, his brilliant self pulled that and took that into our team meeting the night before the game. And that gave us some little extra motivation, knowing that, the betting folks and the rest of the country thought that Duke was going to beat us by 10 points.
Yeah. So I would just have one quibble with that. You said that you guys, that Duke had a roster that was second to none. I would say that they had a roster that was second to one. Because one team won the title that year. One team did win the title.
That's a nice play. That's definitely a good play, Rob. And you know what? That's only right. That's only fitting. But I was just making the point that, coming into on paper, Duke had a great team on paper. And that's another thing why Coach, he's just so close to my heart, because he always told me that's why you play the game. Even though a team could be better than you on paper, you still have to play the game. And he was right. We played the game, and we know what happens from there.
So in the game itself, they jump out to a lead early. I think it was like 9-2, and I think they got up by I think it was 13-4. They were up by a little bit. Ricky Moore goes nuts. He has 13 in like a 12-minute stretch in the first half.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys know that he was capable of that? Have you seen that in practice? Like where did that come from? What do you remember about that run that Ricky went on?
Well, yeah, we knew that he was definitely capable of a run like that. We see it every day in practice. But, when it comes to the game, Ricky is such a team player and such a role player that, he concentrated on his role and how to help the team in his role. So he never really focused on scoring too many points. But at that time, when we needed the most, I was in foul trouble the first half. We weren't clicking like we usually were offensively, but we needed that boost from him. And he just came with the perfect timing, the perfect game to just explode with, like you said, 11 or 13 points in the first half. I was so proud of him. For me, not being able to have a great first half, but him for picking up the slack, he gave me extra confidence for the second half to go out there and perform.
Before we continue that interview, I just have to let you guys know that it is that time of year again. We have waited 2 years for this moment, and it is finally here. March's biggest tournament is back. Gonzaga's getting ready to run the table. Slippers are being fit as we speak. And our partners over at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, are putting our listeners at the center of the action. How? If you bet $4 on an underdog in a select game this week and that underdog wins, you win $256. That's right, $256. Here's how it works. You download the app now. You use the promo code FIELD68 when you sign up. Scroll through the list of select underdogs, bet $4 on one of them to win, and cash $256 when they do. There is no better way for you to put your college hoops knowledge to the test and then to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. I know this because I use them. So remember, the code is FIELD68. That's FIELD68 to turn $4 into $256. For a limited time only, must be 21 years or older. Restrictions apply. Go to DraftKings.com for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Right. And so when you're the point guard, right? You see that your guy going like that. Are you just feeding him the ball every single time, trying to figure out where he is, how to get him open?
Definitely. When I was on the court, I was trying to get him the ball, but the ball was finding him. And that was just a great characteristic about our team. When someone had the hot hand, the ball seems to always find those hands. So it was kind of a deal of, we knew he had it going. So let's make sure that we continue to feed him.
All right. So you already mentioned you didn't play great early in that first half. I think you had like 6 turnovers in the game. You missed a couple shots, but down the stretch, like you took that game over. You had the big bucket to I think put you guys up by 3. You hit a couple big free throws. So specifically, I want to talk about that possession where you hit the floater, because that's the one that always sticks in my mind. You come off that ball screen, you got the little hezzy, you get I forget who it was, the big guy, was it Elton Brand? You get him off balance, you go left, and you hit that kind of like it was a floater, or I don't even know what you would call it. But you hit the shot. So take me through what you saw in that possession, what you remember about that possession, what play was called. Was that did coach watch you taking that shot? You just freelanced
that was one of our main sets, Rob. We definitely coming in the half court set, and one of our go-to plays was the high screen and roll, and allowing me to try to make something happen, try to create something. And on that particular play, I was able to gain the advantage on Elton Brand. Like you said, a hesitation move, and got him to stand up a little bit, and I was able to get past him a little bit and was able to hit the floater. Like I said, it was one of my main shots, and a shot that I practice all the time. So I had a lot of confidence with that shot, and I was able to knock it down. And I always prided myself on stepping up in the big moments. And I think that's when every big time player really shows himself, is in those key moments, in the moments where down the stretch where the team needs you the most. And, I like I said, I really looked at my player as a closer. And I was able to make a big time bucket for our team when we really needed it.
Yeah, I think there's a generation of high school kids in the state of Connecticut that was their move, right? They come left, a little hezzy, and then try to get someone off balance and go. Because I'll tell you what, man, I in the driveway, I did that a whole bunch of times.
Oh yeah. Hey, the hesitation back in the '90s was a very popular move. I should have copyrighted it, but I didn't have the business genius in my mind back then. But it definitely was a great move, and I was able to gain the advantage from it. And every guard should have that move in their repertoire.
So you guys take a 3-point lead. Duke comes back and scores. They get a stop. You force that turnover. I think it was Ricky on Trajan Langdon. He ends up it was traveler or double dribbler or something. So
it was Ricky on Trajan Langdon for about 10 seconds, and then it was Langdon on 4 of us because we all crowded him and ran over to him. But yeah, Ricky Moore did a terrific job, man. And what else could we say about that, man? The guy who was the best defender on our team, who always took the challenge of guarding the other team's best player, and man, he stopped them on the most important possession. So, we were all happy
back to back, Ricky, twice in the last 15 seconds. He stopped.
Man, the guy was a monster, man, and that's why we loved him so much, because he was always ready and stayed ready.
Did you ever get him in practice?
Oh yeah, early on as a freshman, we had our battles. You do that, as an upperclassman and younger classman, I had to earn my stripes, so to speak. So we was a lot of one-on-one games with me and Ricky, and I had to earn his respect. And that's what happens in college basketball. And so I was able to do that early on, and I gained his respect. And so he was able to and felt good about scooting over and allowing the younger underclassmen to come in and play such a pivotal role for our team.
So you hit 2 big free throws with 6 seconds left in that game, right? Can you just what do you remember from those moments? Like, what's going through your head? How much pressure is on you? Are you nervous? Like, that's what everyone dreams, right?
All of Minneapolis is watching you. You can't miss this shot, and that's what's going through my head. But no, I know I practiced free throws, shot millions of free throws throughout my career, and it was just another shot. And like you said, big time players. And like I said, I prided myself on making the big shots during the stretch and when my team needs it the most. So to me, it was routine. No matter it was 60,000 people watching me, I just wanted to, shoot the shot like I regularly do. And, I was blessed for it to go in, both of them.
The first one you switched, the second one kind of rattled home a little bit.
It rattled in. Me and William Avery had some words before that. That's the reason why the ball hit the rim so much, because I wasn't really concentrating on shot. I was concentrating on making my point to him.
Well, I think you did, man. I think you did. All right. So then comes the play that everybody remembers, right? Trajan Langdon going full court, kind of runs into like 4 different people. Oh, yeah. Falls down, turns the ball over, and you take off running. You go straight to Jim Nantz, and everybody on the broadcast hears, "We shocked the world. We shocked the world." Just take me through that moment, like what you're feeling, what you're thinking, like why are you running straight to Jim Nantz? Like what happened there?
I mean, when we were able to stop Trajan Langdon and we're able to turn them over, and the clocks were at 0 and we were up. It was just a lot of adrenaline, Rob, of course, being number 1 in the nation, beating the big powerhouse Duke, just all of those emotions came out. And, I don't know what made me run over to the table, but I had remembered that I did say we were going to shock the world at the beginning of the game. So, it was only fitting for me to run over to the table and just, let the fans know, let the country know, and let UConn know that, we shocked the world, and, we told you we were going to do it.
How was it so audible on the broadcast? Did you like grab his headset and put it on the screen? Did you get in his face?
I don't know how. I don't know how it was so clear, but I must have been yelling so loud. So, like I said, it was a lot of adrenaline. 60,000 people. I had to be loud. So, it was just something that of the moment right then. But hey, man, we felt great. It was a long season. And so for us to top it off with a championship was just icing on the cake.
How often do people reference that to you? How often do you hear "We shocked the world"?
It depends on what state I'm in. If I'm in Connecticut, I'm going to hear it at least 3 or 4 times a day. All right. But I don't mind it. Hey, yeah. We're notched down in history. You can't take champions away. So, hey, I'm fine with that. I can hear it 20 times a day. It wouldn't bother me.
All right. So, I've talked to a lot of people doing these one shining moment things, and I think it's weird. Some people remember the biggest moment like crystal clear. They remember every single little thing, like to the smallest detail. Others just don't remember anything. I did one of the Steve Merfeld, the guy who was the coach at Hampton. They got picked up after they beat Ohio State. You know that picture where the guy's holding him and his feet are just kind of sticking up in the air.
Yeah.
He said he doesn't remember any of that. Like he just completely blacked out during the celebration. Wow. So I want to know, from the time of the final buzzer until like you guys are back in the locker room celebrating, like what do you remember about that? What are your best memories? Like, who are you going and hugging first? Like, do you still register all of that?
I can remember.
It's all just a blur.
It is almost a blur, but I remember just the feeling of elation walking back to the locker room with the guys, all smiles and just hugs and tight hugs and just the camaraderie of the team, and knowing that the job that we set out to do. Back in the preseason, back in November and October, paid off. And it was just a great feeling. And I just remember soaking it all in, like, wow, we're number one in the country. And, it was just a great feeling in that locker room with the brothers and with the team. It was just phenomenal, man. I can't speak it into words, but it was just a great feeling to know that we were the best team in the country.
What did you guys do that night to celebrate?
Man!
Did you guys go back?
Now that's not a blur. Now we all hung out together. We all spent our time. The families were together, and we just had a great time in the team hotel. Man, I don't think anyone went to sleep. We were just up going crazy, and just couldn't wait to get back to the home turf, to Connecticut. And when we landed and saw the fans on our welcome ride back to the campus, it was phenomenal. It was really beautiful.
So I got a chance in 2019, actually in Minneapolis, after Virginia won. I was able to go and into their team hotel, into the team party afterwards. And what I don't think people realize about this is the national title game tips off at 9:20, right? The game's not going to end until like 11:30. Then you're going to have the celebration and cutting down the nets and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you'll get
That'll
back.
take you until like 12:30 or 1. Then you have media that you have to do until like 1 or 1:30. But see, just come say hi to someone real quick.
Oh.
Okay, give me 1 second, okay?
I see your car can be quick.
Yes, we're almost done.
So all good.
We'll keep maybe we'll keep that in. Maybe
no
we
problem.
Sorry about that. So yeah, I made it back to the team hotel to celebrate with them, and I don't think people realize, like, so after you cut down the nets, it's probably like 1 o'clock, right? And you got to take the team bus back, and you don't actually get back to your hotel until like 2:30 in the morning. At which point, like, you got to get your post game meal at some point. Like, so it's wild how long that process ends up going. So when you say you don't sleep, it was like probably like 3 or 4 hours before you had to wake up anyway, right?
Oh yeah, it definitely was. And who wanted to sleep at that night anyway? And we wanted just to stay up and keep the memories going and party with your family. With the fans who supported you. So it was a great night. I didn't need to go to sleep. I think I stayed up, until the next night. I probably was up 48 hours straight.
So I heard a story about after the game, right? I heard a security guard stopped you at one point during the celebration because he didn't believe that you were actually a part of the team. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, I was still on the court, and I may have put on a hat. I think that's when we were just giving the hats, and put a hat on and a T-shirt on, the T-shirt. And I don't know how he could have, mistaken me for anybody other than a player. But yes, he had held me back and, was trying to prevent me from, going across the court, and, very nicely asked him to remove his hand. And, it was just a brief miscommunication.
It's like, you just saw me. I just hit the game winning shot, man. Like, what do you do? I can't get on the court now? What are you doing?
There's no way I could make that up. No way.
So when you get back to Connecticut, I just got what's the reception like? Are there fans at the airport? Were they?
Yes. That's what I meant. Fans at the airport going crazy. And then when we're driving back towards the campus, Rob, you had employees on top of their buildings where they worked at, holding big signs up, congratulating us, waving to us. Man, it was awesome. And it's about a 40-minute ride from the airport, back to campus. So, going that whole stretch and seeing all the businesses and all the people just wanting to show their appreciation for us, it meant the world to me. It meant the world to our team. And, it just how much what basketball means to the state of Connecticut.
So when you look back at it now, like, what are your defining memories from that NCAA tournament run? Like, what's the one story, the one memory you have that really kind of sets everything into perspective for you?
I just think, how tough our team was. We faced adversity, and, we didn't let us shake us. Everyone had each other's back. We supported one another, and it was just a real team, a real camaraderie. And, when you run up against a team, like our 99 team, you're not going to get a lot of wins against that team because they just know how to play. Each player knows one another, like the back of their hand, and it's just a great team effort. So when you come up against a real team that's clicking on all levels, man, it's just a beautiful thing. And that's what I remember most. And that's what I take away from that. It's just the way that, and the love that our team had for one another, and the way that we competed for one another was like, you know, I haven't been on a team since with that type of love and that type of level of competition.
Well, I'll tell you this much. 14-year-old me thought the exact same thing about you guys watching that. Like, that was one of the defining moments for me as a sports fan growing up, was watching you guys shock the world and being, I still remember like going into school the next day and everybody has on like their UConn t-shirts, UConn hats and everything. And it was, that was one of those days where I'm pretty sure all of the teachers as well, because I specifically remember like we had a whole bunch of classes where it was just like we ended up watching a movie that day. So I'm assuming all the teachers were like out partying that night and celebrating, all hungover. So they I'm not teaching today.
Hey, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful story right there. I'm glad. I'm happy we were able to help out on that day to free you up a little bit, Rob. It's a great thing.
Yeah, that's what I needed, man. Well, listen, Khalid, I appreciate the time. This was a lot of fun going down memory lane a little bit. And I thank you for coming on this episode.
No problem. Thanks for having me.